Yeah, I'm excited about having Stephen Shaw because you're not wrong in fights possibly being something to like get the guys to the next level.
Yeah.
But this is not isolated to just boxing.
Oh no, it's.
I mean, you've been to enough MMA shows now where you can see the guys walking out and you're like, oh, I see who's A team and
don't
B team.
discredit them for because I would not fight a lot of these guys, but. At the same time, a lot of these fights you can just it looks good on the record, looks good for the next person he's fighting, and you as a fighter, you probably know it. I'm not a fighter.
It's not an insult to say that you're the one they're bringing in to lose.
Yeah,
does that make sense? I'm not saying that you're shit. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, but like you could be 5-0 killer guy. And if you're traveling to Minnesota or whatever to fight the local guy that sells all the tickets, you could still be a great fighter. Yeah. But they're bringing you in because they want you to lose.
They want you to lose.
Two things can be possible. Yeah. You can be a good fighter, you don't have to be a shitter. Yeah. And they can still want you to lose.
Yeah, you could put on a good fight. Mm-hmm. Like you know you're gonna lose, but it's a good fight. Drinks are gonna be bought. Yeah. People are gonna sit there a little longer. They're gonna. You're gonna get paid. Yeah, you're gonna get paid. Yeah, it's like, do you promote that though?
What do you mean?
Like if you're the guy you're the fall guy, you know you're gonna lose. Do you? Hey man, I got another fight. You come and see me. I'm gonna get my next L.
Dude,
like I don't know. Do you promote that?
Yeah. So, dude, you're not okay. Good question. So we call them journeyman losers, right? So like what they'll essentially do is because the state athletic commissions sometimes will talk to each other, but not all the time. Yeah. So like Tim Lukanoff here in the state of Missouri, he's actually been doing it for 33 years. Sorry, he's been doing it longer than I've been alive, which is crazy. So like he has great relationships with everybody. So like. Let's say you fought in California 2 weeks ago. He might call the commissioner and be like, is this guy is he you're just trying to get a payday? Yeah. Should I sanction this fight? But some states, like the state of Illinois, has a completely different commission than the state of Missouri. You could go over there and lose 10 fucking times, get paid in like a month if you wanted to. Yeah.
Really?
It's in some states, it's like the wild, wild west. Yeah. And in other states, it's a lot more structured and that's a little harder to do. But to your original question of are people advertising it? Yeah. Not the smart ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. The smart ones shut the fuck up and get paid.
Just get money. I have a fight. I might share the poster, but I'm not come and see me fight.
What they'll also do is they'll switch. Yeah. So they might lose 30 times in boxing. And then they'll switch to MMA or vice versa.
I've seen that. I've seen someone here, I don't even know the guy's name, but I've seen him box, and then I've also seen him in an NFA fight before. Yeah. And I'm like, wait.
Did he lose both times?
Yeah, he lost both times. Yeah.
Is he a pro? You don't have to say his name.
I don't know if he's a pro.
If he's not a pro,
I would think he is, or maybe he's amateur fights, but I think he's been around for a while. I want to say it's like Chainsaw or Jax or something like that. Yeah. I can't think of the guy's name, but I've seen him fight MMA and I've seen him fight boxing and
0 for 2.
Yeah, the boxing was worse. I was like, and that was at a place down in Cherokee Street at Casa Loma.
That was probably for Chad Mueller then. That was probably stand-up fight series.
Could be. It could be.
How long ago was it?
Wasn't too long ago. I think he fought Tank or Tech or something like that. Out of Too Good Boxing. Tex. Yeah, he fought Tex.
I cannot. Tex, forgive me. I do not know how to say your last name. It's like Trix McGigas.
Oh, with Tex? Yeah, I think so. I just always say Tex to him.
I heard that him and Stephen Shaw actually had some beef or something like that. Like Frazier was telling me. Frazier was telling me that they almost came to blows.
Yeah, I'll say a story and
it stays between us.
No. I mean, you could bring it up to Shaw because it was hilarious to me. I went to go see a fight at Casa Loma. It was a different fight, and just to support, whatnot. And Shaw was there, and he was on the top balcony, and I was there with a buddy, and he came over talking yada yada, and I didn't know Tex was there. And Tex ended up coming upstairs, and I saw him, and we train out of the same gym. I don't train like that. I just go to get in shape and try to.
I didn't even know you trained at all. So.
Yeah, thanks. Now you know, right?
I know because you're not a fighter. So
no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying.
When people fight, I'm like, okay, they train. I didn't know
at least I'm like, if I'm gonna be around fighters, at least do something, right?
Yeah.
Or at least get that
look.
look.
Better shape than last time I saw you.
I know I was huge then. But so we're upstairs, and Shaw's sitting with me at the table, and he gets up and walks away, and then Tex comes walking by, and I'm like, yo, Tex, what's up? And he came up,
dab him up.
Yeah, right. And Shaw's in the distance, and Shaw says out loud, he's like, hey, Taco. And I was like, and I looked over and I was like, what's up? And he's like, he ain't ready. He don't want none of this. And he's like literally saying that. And he's talking all this smack to Tex right there. And I don't even text. Maybe he heard him or he didn't.
For
but
sure
I just,
he did. If you heard him, Tex did.
Okay, yeah.
Not trying to be that guy.
No, I know. And then Tex just walked away, and I think he walked past him. And as he was walking past him, Shaw was just yapping. He's like, "You don't want none of this. That's right. Keep walking and don't look at me. Whatever." And I'm not saying Tex wasn't like backing down, but that's just they do have some beef.
Yeah. I have a caveat to that. I can't tell you how many times when I was fighting, I would win a fight. Okay, before I would go from like the cage to the backstage to get my hand wraps off and everything. My phone is blowing up from like, I'll fight him next, all this other shit.
I got you,
dude. I think it's when I was in fighting, I used to take that so disrespectfully because I was like, dude, this is my fucking moment. Allow me to have my time. However, now that I'm removed from it, I realize what it is. It's like it's people trying to put the pieces in place for their own career. Just wanted to take a second to pause the action and just tell you guys, thank you so much for consuming our content. Easy Talk is a passion project. This podcast is just a bunch of like-minded people coming together to produce some cool stuff and talk to some cool people. One of the things I would very much appreciate is if you could possibly like the video or subscribe to the channel, just because it helps us in the algorithm and ultimately to grow, to get more exposure to everybody, including ourselves, and ultimately just make a better product. Take a second, I'd greatly appreciate it, and on with the show. In business, like, you don't necessarily compete directly with someone, right? Not all the time. Obviously, there's industries, there is competition, but it's like, you can have a great taco fest, and then if I choose to open like a taco bar or whatever, they're like mutually exclusive. Same industry, but we can both succeed. Fighting is... It's scarce resources.
Not that much room.
Yeah, dude, it's tough because, for you to get to the next level, you got to be the biggest fish in a small pond. So what does that mean? You got to eat everybody else.
Yeah. So you got to be a good fighter. You got to be good at PR, marketing, and getting your face out there. Oh, he can sell us tickets, but not only he sells us tickets, he might get people to buy some drinks, and because the tickets are good money, but the money is where the alcohol and the drinks are.
Well, also experience, because here's the other thing. I'm sure you've been to some shows that have like sold out. And then some shows that are like half capacity. And the thing is, like, you're not wrong with your assertion of like, the alcohol is kind of the moneymaker. For most people, But I would also make the argument that like, if you don't have the ticket sellers to pack the house, to then generate that buzz, that atmosphere, then people are going to leave. People have left full shows and been like, holy shit. And people have left half empty shows and be like, that was fun. It's a completely different experience.
You get those, like, even with our Taco Fest, it's, if we get, just the last one, it rained and there's still people showing up during the rain. Like, if it wasn't cold towards the end, there still would have been a good consistent, but there's people that show up in the rain, and then when it doesn't rain, of course there's a buttload of people that show up. But
I feel like I jinxed you, because it was like the one Taco Fest. I was like, all right. Because I remember we did a podcast, and then I traveled for work, so I missed the very next Taco Fest. So I was like, I'm coming to the next one. So like I called Frazier. I called Lindsay. I called like a bunch of people. I was like, let's fucking go. And of course the one, I even called you. And then of course the one that like I coordinate, I was like, all right, let's go. We're going to support our boy. It's like fucking raining and everything. But I was telling you off the record, I'll tell you on. I had the best fucking taco I've ever eaten in my life. Oh, that's
taco too, dude.
And you said the name, forgive me, but it was
Flamin' Fabian.
Flamin' Fabian.
Yeah, they won last year.
I'm sitting there in the rain, and I had like 2 carne asadas or whatever, and then added like a little bit of onion and cilantro. I'm a slut, you know what I mean? I get down, and I'm like sitting there, like you and Lindsay are talking, and I'm just like,
this is just so good.
And Taco King's like, yo, you good? I'm like, I'm good. So, let me take a step back, because for those that are uninitiated, can you explain Taco Fest to people? And I know you've been on the podcast before, but now that I've been to it, I have a sense for it, so I can possibly add a little nuance to it.
Add a little,
But what is Taco Fest in essence?
It's a festival that has loads of tacos, different taco places, right? It used to be just local. Now we have like 5-6 places from Chicago, one from Kansas City.
I was shocked at how many people traveled.
Yeah, there was.
Forgive me, in a positive way.
No, I'm shocked too. And like you said, in a positive way, because when we first started almost 4 years ago, this is our 4th year going in. It was, like I said, it was just local, and we started with 15 vendors only, and now we're at like 56 vendors, 57.
I was impressed. I want to be careful how I say this because the caveat was the weather, right?
Yeah.
But I was impressed with the scope.
Yeah.
Because you had so many taco trucks. You had so many stands. You had so much shit there. I was like, yo, this was not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Let me take a step back because I have a couple of questions, but I want to start with this. How much of a logistical nightmare is that to plan? That's got to be fucking difficult.
Oh, man. It's even more difficult. Appreciate that because it's even more difficult without a team. Like we're still building our team and trying to find the right people to add. So a lot of it is just like me and my wife will do it. And like, for instance, the map, we don't release the map until like 2 weeks before the event.
To the vendors and everybody?
To the vendors even too. They don't even know where they're placing. And for a month before, we're getting hit up all the time, every day. When's the map coming out? When's the map? And we try to get everybody's request in of how they want to be placed, or if they want to be placed next to someone or not here, it's loud, whatever. Everybody always wants the high traffic, but they don't want a lot of the music, right? So we try to strategically place everybody where we think is going to be good. I don't want to put someone where I don't think there's not going to be a lot of people. And unfortunately, with the rain, it was our first festival that had rain in it, and we learned a lot. So for the next one, but yeah, that Saturday, it didn't like it. It mattered where you were on Saturday with the rain. If you were by the stage, you probably did a lot better because more people, because it was raining, wanted to be with the action and not where there was no action as much. So, so the people that wanted to be less loud didn't benefit on Saturday, and the people that wanted to be a little louder, more action, did benefit. But it takes 2 months to at least start placing everybody. Yeah. So, and then it doesn't help when vendors don't get all the information into you right away.
Dude, I'm sure it's very reminiscent to like Brad and those guys or Jesse with like fighters. And I kind of try to equate it to matchmaking because that's the world that I come from.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to get together all these people and trying to get together like, okay, can you make the date? Yeah. Where do you want to be, actually positioned? And obviously there's like the commerce side of it too, like who's paying what for what. It's the same thing with fighting. It's like this guy can't fight on this day because of whatever fucking reason. And then this guy won't fight this guy for whatever fucking reason. So it's like, it sounds easy in theory. And that's why I started with that question. Cause like when I got there, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised at how many people were still there. We're kind of underselling the amount of volume, even with it being shitty weather. Yeah. Like I still had a tough time finding somewhere to sit under the tents to eat the tacos. So like, there was this sense of like, okay, people were still making an effort, and that's always good. And it was still a lot of fucking fun. I have to say that. It was still a lot of fucking fun. But that's also because we came with a group. So like maybe that's like a little caveat, right?
I totally get it.
But I would also say that that's the way to do everything. Like I wouldn't go to fights alone. I wouldn't go to Taco Fest alone. Bring a fucking friend.
Bring a friend or two, right? Yeah. It's a lot. It's fun.
If you don't have a friend, by yourself, come to Taco Fest. Make a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the reason I started that is like, when I was looking around, I was like 1, 2, 3. I was like, holy shit, you have like fucking 10 different taco trucks. Yeah. And 17. Then like 20 different, forgive me, this is mental math.
No, you're good, right? Yeah.
And then like 20 stalls this way and then 20 stalls that way. And then you also had vendors for like things that had nothing to do with like quote unquote like Mexican cuisine or what like I saw one for like a window company and one for like a roofing company. I was like, holy shit, like this is legit like difficult to put together. Yeah. Did the scope increase because you've done this for now 4 years, so you've done a couple now Taco Fests? Yeah. Can you just kind of talk to me about the first one to this most recent one? Not necessarily in terms of like location or whatever, but in terms of scope. Like you said, like you started with originally 15 vendors and now it's 57 or almost close to 60. So, and then it's just you and your wife. So I want to be careful how I ask this. Is it getting now to the point where you're like, holy shit, like this is starting to become its own beast? Yeah. Yeah. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's my thing is I always want to do better. Like after each one, we tell all of our vendors, thank you for coming and participating, but we're going to do better. Even if they say, man, it was great. You had an awesome time. It was awesome. But there's always room to do better, especially coming from the first one to 15 to, like I said, we're at 55, 56. And a lot of those are repeat. Like about 78% of them have been with me from the first one, and they just want to keep they keep doing good. Or even if it's a bad one, I think, oh, this is the last time they're going to come, but they sign up, and I think a lot of that has to do with
Why do you call that a bad one, out of curiosity? Because of the weather, because of the turnout?
Yeah. Like for me, when I tell someone about Taco Fest, I'm like, Taco Fest is 15,000 plus people. That's a Taco Fest to me. And hopefully more down the line. But this one was probably our second lowest that we had. And I say bad one because of financially. It wasn't like Saturday. Thankfully, we did 2. So our first one doing 2 days. So I'm glad we did that second day because Sunday really got it. But, the tents cost. I mean, everything costs from the permits. And even if I have vendors paying, I don't charge as much. So I'm learning, doing better. Like I know I need to charge a little more. Well, just in case to help me out. But
what if you did like a variable one where it was something like where it's like, hey, listen, if it rains out, there's a reduced cost. Yeah. Because I also want to make sure that like you as a vendor feel respected. And I understand that this is time out of your day. You're coming in, you're setting up. Like everybody is putting in effort. Yeah. Right? So it's like, have you ever experimented with possibly doing like variable costs where it's like, hey, this is like the base. And then based on numbers, like if we hit 15,000 people, an additional charge. If we hit 25,000 people, an additional charge.
Yeah, I'm still learning that. And trying to. I guess I should say.
Forgive me. I'm not necessarily like harping. I'm more asking like, have you ever thought of?
Oh yeah, most definitely. We've always tried to think of ways that we can make a little extra, right? But at the same time, it doesn't hurt our relationship with our vendors.
It's a fine science.
Yeah, it really is. And like for instance, like St. Charles, I've made friends with from day one to where I'm at now. I've made friends, built a lot of relationship with other people that do festivals, so I can kind of like
pick their brain.
Yes, and they've been doing it longer. I just
where have you eaten shit?
Yeah,
where have you found success?
Exactly. I just became with a friend up in Chicago, and they throw one of the biggest Cinco de Mayo festivals in Chicago. And they sent 2 vendors to us because the other Chicago vendors heard about, like, more people from Chicago are coming to our festival now. But learning from them and how they, charge for VIP or what extra do they charge for vendors. And I'm still learning because I know, I won't say, like, for instance, there's another festival here during when I would throw my Taco Fest. They charge around $900 a day, and I'm like if I do 2 days, it's about $450 a day. And even if I just did 1 day, I usually charge $600. I'm still
under the competition.
I'm way under the competition. So it gives me room to grow, to say, you know what, we're going to try this time. Or I don't want to take percentages. I used to work on a food truck with my brother when he had his taco truck, and he would be at festivals. And so I kind of learned from how he acted and other food trucks, how they kind of see it. Like, they don't like giving a percent.
You were the consumer before you were the producer.
Yes, most definitely. So, and we really try to find ways to help our vendors. Like, if you look at our application, we normally like them to stick to 4 items, only because we want you to produce your 4 best items to help with the lines. And then that way, if they want to try any of their items, come to our brick and mortar. So then that way, it's one, we're helping with inventory management. You're not buying a lot, and it's something that you should be able to push out quick and collect that cash, collect that money real quick. But yeah, we're these are all things that we're learning. I don't want to take a percent of them. Like, I know like St. Charles does a 1% tourism tax on hot food items. So they're already, so they're already paying.
I didn't know that.
Already paying them 1% of what they make. And the last Taco
Revenue
Fest,
or profitability, forgive me.
I want to say it's profitability.
Okay, that's not as
so
bad.
It's not as bad. Yeah. So but I know other festivals, they ask for percent on what they make revenue wise for the whole day, right? And
forgive me. Let me take a step back though. My initiation to the question wasn't necessarily to like take a percentage of what they did.
Yeah.
It was more to cater the price.
Yeah.
Respective to the guests. So I'll give you a prime example. This last one you did Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yes.
So Saturday, because of the rain, I'm sure the turnout was slightly different than Sunday when there wasn't as much inclement weather. So perhaps you would give them a discount on the Saturday, and then subsequently, if Sunday came in and you had 15,000 people, perhaps you charge like a premium because you're like, hey, the base rate was like $500, let's say.
Yeah.
An extra $100, but then, we gave $150. The reason I say that is when you do a fluctuation like that, it's respective to the amount of commerce that they will have, so it's still respectful. Yeah. I'm not saying I want 1% of your total revenue. Yeah. If you crush it at our event, you deservedly so. Yeah. But I do want to kind of reciprocate the respect by saying, hey, I brought in 25,000 people instead of 15,000, instead of 5,000, instead of 500. Right? It's like also like because you're putting forth effort. Yeah. And to do a flat fee is kind of like a double-edged sword. If you have inclement weather and not enough people come in, you feel bad. You're like, fuck, man, like did I swindle these people out of money? However, if you crush it and you have 25,000 people come in there, now you're like, did I charge too little? Yeah. Did I get swindled? It's I think in certain aspects of life, and obviously it's like the equivalent to where you were trying to like say like I'm not a fighter. I'm also not a taco king. Right? So what the fuck do I know? No. Yeah. All I know is I had a really great time and really good tacos.
No, those are great questions too. So what the problem is I do no refund on everything. Like everything. I don't think that's a problem.
I think that's business.
Yeah. So, but like for instance, like if it rained, right?
But then they know that when they're signing up for it.
Yes.
It's an outdoor event.
It's an outdoor event. A lot of people love outdoor events, but unfortunately this is what happens, it's a hit or miss. But
if it's great weather, you hit 25,000.
Yes.
If it's shitty weather, you hit 5.
Yes.
Guess what? The same way you're flipping that coin, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be an asshole.
No, it's the truth. It really is. And it's like it's tough because like I had every vendor I went to, like I didn't shy away because it was raining. I'm gonna take the good and I'll take the bad and I'll take the ugly.
Were you getting a lot of words?
No, one person, but not because of the rain.
Gotcha.
That was
Something else.
It was placement. Yeah. But placement, it looked bad because of the rain. If it wasn't raining, on Sunday they did a lot better. Yeah. But
did they say anything on Sunday?
No, they didn't say nothing on Sunday. They only said it to me on Saturday, and I get it too. Like I feel it, man. Like you just said, 2 days. That's a lot of money to spend for food, and inventory. And if you don't have a brick and mortar like Flamin' Fabian, what do you do? Right? Like you have to do some pop-ups. Does that food go to waste? That's money wasted. Every person I talked to though, they said, "Oh, I didn't know you controlled the weather." So they're kind of used to, because if you're doing a festival outside or you're doing festivals or pop-ups, you're used to it. You know that sometimes it's going to be crappy weather and sometimes it's going to be great. And I think I've had enough festivals that it's been great that this would be my second worst. My first one was actually the shirt I'm wearing is at Ballpark Village. That was my first worst one, and I learned a lot that one. Like, and to make up the next one I did, we went to, because we charged on the Ballpark one, and then we went in October and we didn't charge, and we did it free, and it was like 15,000 people showed up in St. Charles, and taco places sold out. I mean, I think we sold like 15,000 tacos. Yeah. So it's that one made up for the last one, and
can I add a little bit of nuance? Forgive me.
Yeah,
so what you're essentially saying is there was a taco fest that you had at Ballpark Village. Yeah. Where you were requesting, I believe it was like $5 or $10 for entry into the event. Yeah. And then you realized by doing that you were essentially putting a paywall. Yeah. And you were also selling the event, so there was two sales going on. You were selling entrance to the event to the general public. Yep. But you were also selling access to the general public to vendors. Yeah. So it was like 2 layers of monetization, which some people might look at that and go, ooh, rub the pennies together. But then, and I'm going to tell you something, and I probably shouldn't tell you this, but it was actually one of the nicest things I've ever heard about you was actually Frazier. I asked him after the Ballpark Village one, I go, how'd it go? Because I felt really bad because you were on the podcast and then I had to travel for work, and I felt really bad that I wasn't there. I was like, I should have supported it. And he was like, oh, you're fine, dude. It's all good. And then he told me a little bit about like the nuances and stuff like that. And then he told me also, like, he said Kyle felt terrible because he wanted to make sure that the vendors did well.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he said Kyle felt terrible because, you know, it wasn't profitable or he didn't make the money that he thought he was going to make or any of these things. He felt bad for the vendors. Now, I'll explain to you why I think that's such a nice thing, or like the nicest thing I've ever heard someone say about someone, is because this empathy or sympathy was not correlated to the compensation or the monetary for yourself. It was entirely for the people that were engaging in the event with you. And the reason I like that so much is, you know, I understand that for you, you're learning a lot about business kind of on the fly, like a real application and theory at the same time. But that thought process for the individuals partaking in your event and how you feel tied to their success, you want to see them do good and all these other things, that is why you will succeed.
Thank you.
And you might take lumps and you might eat shit just like everybody in every industry ever. Welcome to entrepreneurship, right? It's the greatest and it's the worst. But that is a skill set that you can't learn. You either have it or you don't.
I appreciate that.
So God bless to you. When Matt told me that, when I had you on the podcast, we discussed this earlier, but I'll say it now live as well. That is when I met you. Yeah. So Matt was like, hey, there's this guy. His name is Kyle. He's the Taco King. Cool guy. You should have him on the podcast. I was like, yeah, sure. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We met. And it was cool. You know what I mean? It was a good vibe. And you laughed. And I was like, hey, Matt, great guest. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Then after that, I got to talk to you more. I got to learn about you. I saw you at the MMA events. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs. And I've seen a lot of people get into different industries. And I've seen a lot of people eat shit. And I've seen a lot of people succeed and all these other things. You are one of the people that deserve success, not necessarily because the success would only correlate to you, but your success is the success of everybody else. That's awesome. The bigger Taco Fest gets, the more money that you make, the more notoriety you get, the more it expands, the better for all the vendors. Yeah. And more importantly, you care about the people. You care about the food truck as much as the sponsor doing the window company, as much as the fucking kettle corn person tent. But it all makes sense. Yeah. So I guess I'll say this, and I'm not trying to like nut hug or anything like that.
No.
It's a very admirable quality. Yeah. And I think if no one has told you, let me be the first. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people get lost in the sauce. Yeah. A lot of people get lost in the balance sheet and money in, money out. And I like to think that there are still some people who worry about, did the customer get did the person coming into Taco Fest get the experience they wanted? Did the vendor get what they wanted from this? Because that's a lost art. Yeah. I'm
sorry,
that was long-winded.
No, I appreciate it. I seriously, thank you so much for that. It's hard for me even to be on social media. I tell Matt this all the time because he'll say, bro, just ignore those negative people. I'm like, but it's so hard for me. Really? I have to say something. Like, don't. No, I know I don't, but it's like a marketing thing too, though. For instance, the last Taco Fest, it was great in October last year.
Were they bitching about that one?
We actually had some people complain about the lines.
Oh, that's
a good thing. Yeah.
Hey, and you know what? We'll have more vendors next time.
Yes, right. And so I listened to that, and I if someone said, oh, it was so pricey, I spent yada yada, I'm like, which place was it? I'll say that.
But is that respective of you?
No. I think everyone just thinks Taco Fest, a taco place, it's with Taco Fest, so they think Taco Fest, right? No, those comments, I don't want them to be unheard. Like, I want them to know that somebody saw it and someone's gonna say something. Now, if it's something ridiculous, I'm not going to say something about that.
Yeah, but for you to understand that nuance means you have to read all of them.
Yes.
And while I can respect what it is that you're trying to say,
yeah,
surely you understand that you can easily get lost in that sauce.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I kind of take it as two things. One, I learned from Gary Vee, like he comments on all the negative people, right? I learned that. But then two, those type of corporations that give the crap back, and it's sometimes funny what they say. I think I commented on one of them because somebody was talking about the meat was horrible, yada yada, and I said something about Taco Bell after something to troll them.
What's wrong with Taco Bell?
Oh, nothing wrong with that. It's a good late night smash, right? Get the smash tacos.
How dare you, sir? Don't you ever belittle the Bell.
On YouTube, I'm actually
She's been
trying
there for me at every midnight.
Well, that's because we're in St. Louis. if we had a bigger city that had late night tacos, I promise you would go to those taco places. I would think so. You go to LA.
I've been drunk in the wrong cities.
yes, that's probably what it is. No, I'm actually on YouTube. I have a thing, subscribe to Past Taco Bell, and I can't go into any of the Taco Bells on the county side, like going into St. Charles all the way to Wentzville.
Why?
Because I've been trespassed on them. Yeah, none of the videos. I mean, I had one video, probably had 150,000 or whatever, but
were you just bagging on Taco Bell?
No, there was this whole Knights and Gnome thing going on, versus on social media, and so I joined it, and I joined the Gnomes, and I put this like robe on me. I had my crown.
Knights meaning KNIGHT, like a knight in shining armor.
Yes. Did you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay.
He's hit.
Yeah, and
I'm fucking lame.
No, you're good. It's some guy in the UK or something like just did this, and then people just caught on to it. I'm with the Knights. I'm with the Gnomes. I said I was with the Gnomes, and I had to get like really low, and I had this robe and this crown and a little foam sword, and I walked into Taco Bell, and my camera guy, my buddy Colin, he's walking behind me filming, and I literally went into the back and just doing this.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking shit on the bell, and they're like, banned.
No. Oh no. And then I did two different ones.
You were literally trespassed.
Oh yeah, dude. The one off 370.
I thought you were a victim for a second.
Oh no. They have the right. They totally in the right. Some of the managers were cool.
He's like, no, you right.
Yeah. Some of the managers were cool, man. They were like, oh, let me follow you after. And then some of the employees, they don't, bro. They could tell they hated that they were working there, so there was something new for them.
Yeah.
But you got those. It was
those
few managers that were, I'm calling the cops. Get out of here. Yada yada. And then I did a Kendrick Lamar versus Drake when that whole beef was going up, and I would go into
who won that.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's hilarious because every person that said Drake, I go, oh, you a pretty boy? Like you like pretty boys or something like that, and then people that said Kendrick Lamar, I would say, oh, name me 5 Kendrick Lamar songs.
Fair.
And half the time they couldn't say it, so I'm like, you doing this? But I would go when the door was locked.
Huggers are, brother. It's seasonal.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But yeah, Taco Bell banned me. After that one, they really banned me because the doors were locked, and I would go at night, and so we would have to go through the drive-through, and I would walk up to the drive-through and like have whoever was in the car. Some of the employees would stick their head out and answer it, and
can you not walk to a drive-through?
You can, but who knows? You get those one managers. I'm telling you, that one, and then he called the district manager, and then the next Taco Bell I went to, they already knew I was coming, and then the cop was ready, and then they trespassed me.
Forgive me, I'm gonna caveat just real quickly. I was at a Starbucks like 6 a.m.
Yeah,
and the guy in front of me, I went through the drive-through.
Yeah,
the guy in front of me was like on a bike, so they wouldn't serve him.
Like a pedaling bike?
Like a bicycle. Sorry. So they're like vehicles only. And I'm only bringing this up because I was like, what? So the guy like rides his bike to my car, and at first, I'm not gonna lie to you. So I don't know if this is TMI, but I stay strapped. So I see this guy in a bike, and I'm like, fuck around and find out, brother. He's like, he knocks on my window. I was like ready to fucking be like, what do you want? And he's like, they won't sell me a coffee. And I go, what? And he's like, they won't sell me a coffee because I'm not in the car. So the guy hands me like a $10 bill, and he's like, will you buy my coffee? I was like, dude, you're good. I was like, so that's why I asked. I was like, I didn't know if this was like a fucking thing. I'm like,
oh, no. I just...
First of all, if I'm a business owner, if you're crawling through my drive-through, I'm selling to you.
Oh.
As long as you got money, right? I don't give a fuck.
It don't matter. The only color my dad cared is green. Yeah, that's what he always said.
God bless.
Yeah. No, there's actually some other guy who does, he says, no doors, no problem. No doors, no problem.
What does that mean?
He literally climbs through the drive-through window, and he has music playing, and then he goes and tries to eat the food, and it's like I said, some managers, they'll get on you.
Dude, that's a slippery slope. I'm telling you right now.
It is.
When I was 17 years old, I worked at Breadco for 3 months for a summer. And I was like the opener.
Yeah.
Okay. So like a part of being the opener was I woke up at like 3:30 in the fucking morning. It was the hardest I ever worked for the least amount of pay.
Yeah.
I got paid $7.98 an hour. And I remember,
oh, that had to be like,
bro, this was 2010. Okay. So for reference, but I remember the manager lady was like, the most I can give you for never working here before is I can't give you $8 an hour. So I'll give you the most I can give you. I go, okay, what is that? $7.98. I go, it should have been a red flag. 2 cents.
Yeah.
2 cents.
Yeah.
Give me fucking $8 an hour. Anyway, sorry. I would be the opener, and we would have guys that would like try to get in. And the reason I say this is I had just started training MMA. And I'm telling you right now, if we had a fucking drive-through and I was the opener and some fucker jumped through the window.
No doors, no problem.
Yeah, I'm fucking him up for $7.98 an hour. You're getting these hands. So no, I don't want to see any of the video.
It really isn't.
So here's the problem with, okay, forgive me, I'm going to caveat a little bit.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
You know how they do those, like the pranksters and like the YouTube stuff? The problem with that shit is people don't disseminate the fake, the frauds.
You're telling the truth.
From the reality guys. So like you've had people, this is perhaps a little bit before your time, but I'm sure you'll resonate with this. Do you remember like Vine?
Yeah,
like those. Hey.
He's like, I still remember.
I'm talking to my guest. Forgive me. So like Vine used to have like, it was like the first like original 7-second videos, right? Like you'd have the people that like first started pranking, and it was like also when YouTube was still pretty nascent. The original guys would do it, and it was real, but it was like mild. You know what I mean? Like, hey, is that my girl or whatever?
Yeah.
Then you had the guys that like upped the ante.
Yeah.
But they never told everybody else that they were faking it.
Yeah.
So then you had the third tier guys that tried to one up the guys that were faking, but they didn't know that they were faking. Yeah. And there's been legitimately people like, you know, the Tyrone, I'm here to fuck somebody's wife or whatever. Then there was like some other guy who like tried to up Tyrone and got shot.
Yeah.
And here's the
he got shot?
Yeah. Dude, there's been
He really messed with someone's wife.
No. I mean, they shot him. Dude, here's the thing, man. When you fuck around, what happens?
Yeah, you're going to find out.
So, like, for me personally, homeboy's riding a motorcycle to my car to ask but I'm strapped. Yeah. I don't know who this guy is. Could you have imagined the circumstances that could, this is kind of hypothetical, but let's just say, I'm strapped. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? It's 5 a.m.
Yeah.
What if he was a YouTuber? What if some guy was behind him with a camera and I don't know he's fucking faking this shit?
Yeah.
And he's coming up to me like trying to rob me or whatever? I'm shooting him.
Yeah.
I'm blasting then asking.
Yeah.
Right? And the problem with that is a lot of people did that and a lot of people got fucked around and found out.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of like in that vicious cycle of like shit happens, then people forget, then people renew, then people do, then shit happens.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is homeboy jumping through the windows of a drive-thru.
Yeah.
These people are getting paid what? $13 an hour nowadays? I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
If you're fucking around with fast food people, whatever ends up happening to you.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, some people like I've just doing the Taco Bell ones. Like I would go in the back and ask them, "Hey, Kendrick Lamar or Drake?" And
they're like, "Bro, I'm 9 tickets
Some of them,
behind.
some of them don't even. They'll just look at you and they'll ignore you and just keep working. And others that you can tell they don't like what they're doing, they're like, "Yeah," but then that manager on Mid Rivers Mall. That one where you exit, I cannot go to that one. I did it twice. I did the King, and then I did the Kendrick Lamar, and
But you never did anything like super like egregious or physically harmful. Like you just kind of did like
physically harmful. No.
Like you just kind of like you dress up as a gnome and walking the shit.
I did do a prank. I've been doing these things like pranks at taquerias.
Yeah.
Just keeping it tacos. Where I locked my buddy Colin in the back of my car in the trunk. And so
you locked him?
Yeah, well, you know, he's in. I'm doing a different type of content view with the glasses, the Ray-Ban. So that visual,
the meta ones.
Yeah, that first person view. The algorithm seems to push it a lot lately.
Funny how that works on Instagram, owned by Meta.
Yeah.
Funny.
Right? It's
Zuck,
the truth, man.
Can we sit you down for that one?
Yeah.
I believe they call that cross-homogenization or horizontal integration.
Right there. I put him in the trunk, and I go to a random person, and I'm saying in Spanish, "Can you help me? Can you help me?" And my trunk's locked. And they're like, "Oh, okay." And I don't even give them a chance to react. I'm just like, "Come on." And so they'll come to the trunk of my car, and I'm acting like I can't open it, and I pull my keys out because I'm like, it doesn't work. And then my buddy's inside, and he's banging on it, and I look at the person, and they look at me, and I'm like one guy said, "What is that? Is that you?" And he's like, "No, you have a dog in here?" I was like, "I don't have a dog." And then I just go to pop it. I press the button, it pops open, and he's duct taped and has duct tape, and then he's like, and then he just runs off. Right, and people have done that prank before, like you said. People have done that prank before.
Dude, you're gonna get the cops called on you, brother.
Well, yes, maybe. I don't know.
Well, this is a good. Forgive me. Because we're come back to Pataco Fest.
Yeah.
How? Because I understand that you also do a lot of this like social media content and like to promote, and it's like promote Taco Fest. Taco Fest promotes this. It's kind of two.
It's all intertwined.
Yeah. Exactly. Venn diagram.
Yeah.
But how much is too much? Because like the interviews you do, like Taco Vibes, like name me 3 tacos and so I've seen a lot of your content. Now you're getting into like a little bit more what I would consider like, I think the propensity for this to go viral is greater. Yeah. But also the risk is greater.
Yeah.
So is that like a mental calculus you do before you do these like events or what do they call it? Not events, but when you're setting something up. Forgive me, I'm drawing a blank at the word.
Yeah.
Skits. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Because I have done my first skits just in this past few months. I've been changing it. My thing is with content is I don't want to be just one thing with tacos. I want to try to do everything I can with tacos. And that's my niche, right? So I went from reviewing. I reviewed places. I don't really do that no more. I mean, I haven't reviewed in a place in almost a year or so. And then I just don't want to just do reviews. So then it went to interviews. But I don't want to just do interviews because then that's all I'm going to do.
You mean like
the 3 tacos? Yeah, walk up to someone, hey, and I learned to get better at that, and that really helped me take it up.
Pretty difficult to be like, hey, tacos. How many people have told you to go fuck yourself?
Oh my gosh, in LA, I was at Santa Monica Pier, and I literally went up to this one guy, and he put his forearm in my face. Like, end up hitting my nose, and we got it on camera and everything. And I looked at the camera, and I looked at my buddy Colin, I'm like, Colin, what the heck? He's like, I know, what the heck was that?
I don't know. So I don't know if you can be mad about that.
No, I can't. Yeah, because
it's the risk you take.
Exactly, man. Like, lately, my other content with my glasses, I'll walk up to some random table and sit down and acting like I know them and seeing if they'll let me eat their food or man, it's my first video that it's about to hit like 3 million views.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh, and it keeps going. My first ever, like I've never broke over 1 million before that I would hit maybe 900,000 or whatever. But
isn't it weird what takes and what doesn't?
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first person to tell you, like I've made clips of like episodes where I was like, this is gonna be, and then it's like 600 views. And then I had this one with Whitney where like she was just talking about like something like crazy, like nothing too crazy. Yeah. 800,000 views. And I'm like, how do I duplicate that?
Or you get those videos that like right now it's some little puppy with this snowboarding goggles on, and they're on a skateboard, and then they end up playing some game on an iPad. And it has like 40 million views on TikTok, and it makes me so mad. I'm like, oh, the dog's cute, but
in defense,
do I need to do that? Like,
how do I get it? That's pretty fucking hard to do.
I mean, it is, but it's like I'm like, well, it's the cuts. But
let me ask you this: what is the goal of virality for you? Like, why is it that you're trying to do this content to? Is it to grow your Instagram so that you can
grow my brand,
grow Taco Bell? So it's to grow you, the brand Taco King.
Yeah, because I can do without social. Like I haven't even posted any videos. Once Taco Fest gets close, like weeks out, I don't really post a lot. Yeah. And then this last one did mess with me a lot. That like I'm like fuck, what am I gonna do? Like do I dig deep and do more content? Do I focus on just Taco Fest? But it's all one. Like it's just the taco brand. It's Taco King. It's the Taco Fest.
Surely you also understand that there's going to be variables that present themselves that are out of your control. Weather is one of them.
Oh yeah.
You You could do everything right.
Yeah.
And still shit the bed.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Vice versa, you could do everything wrong. And if the stars align, you could hit gold.
Yeah, that is true.
So that doesn't necessarily mean you're a genius.
No.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's just where the content comes. Like I just keep switching it up so something will hit, and I just do the content so it's relevant, that it's with the Taco Vibes brand, right? With Taco Fest, with Taco King. I do the content to keep that relevant.
I never thought about this. Do you like it when I introduce you as Taco King, or would you prefer me introducing you as Kyle?
No, I mean, I've gotten used to the Taco King. Yeah. Like in the beginning, it would just be weird. Like even I grew up listening to Big Mike on Z1077 in the morning here.
Husband?
Huh? Who's on? No. no. I thought that was Little Michael.
I'm sorry.
Right, that's a good one. And I think he did.
Big Mike, I know right now.
Just come out and say something?
Who?
Yeah. Michael.
Obama?
Yeah.
No, Michelle likes, or Mike or whatever.
Yeah, whoever you want to call her. She was on a podcast and
talked about Big Mike
and talked about being a black male, the way she said it and whatnot. Oh yeah, you got to go watch it, brother. I sent it to some of my buddies. They're like, bro, you're stretching and reaching.
Wait a second, what?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
Is the quiet part out loud?
Yes.
She pulled out the Jeffrey Epstein list from her pocket.
You would think the way she said it all, the way she talked, she was talking about herself and transgenders. She talked about transgenders.
You want to know what I think? Where like there's smoke, there's fire, and I'm not saying that Michelle Obama's a man, but I will say this: Candace Owen with that Brigitte Macron shit. I went down that rabbit hole, and I was like, and then what's crazy is she did a podcast with Tim Dillon, and she was like, we actually, like, we sent them the pilot episode. Yeah. And had they not said anything or whatever, we would have done one episode.
And let it go.
Called it quits. Yep. But because Emmanuel got his lawyers involved and was like, if you don't take this shit down, we're going to come after you. Yeah. Candace was like, all right, bitch.
We're going.
Come on down. And then did a fucking series on it. Now everyone's like, oh, you're just like a Manchurian candidate and your wife is actually a man. And by the way, the craziest part, allegedly, for YouTube, all of this is allegedly. I don't know any of this. This is secondhand information. But apparently, like, everyone fucking knew. So, like, every one of the France delegates, the people around Emmanuel, the people around, like, you know, the cabinet,
of course everyone, they did.
Like, everyone fucking knows. Like, none of this is, and in fact, even the media was, like, so in tune with all this that they would never bring it up because it was immediate ostracization. Yeah. So, like, the second they would bring up anything, they would get, like, their press passes revoked and go fuck yourself.
Isn't it crazy how Marine Le Pen now is barred from running an election?
Here's what I'm going to say about this. I'm not saying that, you know, because there is one instance of something that there is multiple, but one is a point, two is a trend. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, anyway, creating taco vibes and Instagram content.
Yeah. No, but Big Mike. Big Mike. Yeah, Big Mike, not that one. No, it just, I listened to him growing up.
The artist formerly known as.
Right. And I got to do taco stuff with him. And I told him, I'm like, man, I don't know, don't take this wrong, but I listened to you growing up and I've always known you as Big Mike. How do you still, like, take that, like, you know, to be called Big Mike? Is that your name, you know, or is that just a nickname? Because I'm trying to learn how to, I've created Taco King, but now I hear more people, like, if I'm out in the street, I'll have someone drive. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how to take that. Or, I mean, I do, but I'm trying to get used to it, I guess. Or
wasn't that always the intention?
I mean, the intention, no, not to, like, for people to come up and, you know, take photos. That's the I think the bonus of it.
Well, here's my question: is, like, you created this Instagram to kind of facilitate the marketing for Taco Fest, and then you created the persona of Taco King. Yeah. Wasn't it always with the intention that Taco King would, like, blow up?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, yes. Didn't you plan for success?
I'm just not used. I guess since it's happening, it just, someone comes out, can I take a selfie with you? I'm like, Yeah, that's cool.
It got weird when the wife called him that during.
Yeah, that's true too. She called me Taco King.
Taco King. You're like, hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up.
You got to back up on that, right? It's like, what are you
Too
saying?
much.
Just say Daddy or Kyle, right? Don't say Taco King. It's like it's a little weird, especially when people at the festival they want to take selfies with me and stuff. They're like, "Hey, Taco King!" And, oh yeah, definitely at the festival it does. It really does. It's out and about that I'm like, whoa, it's really getting big, right? It's yeah, and it's somebody I just ran into with some charity. They said. When we met, one of the people, they were really excited. She got there and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this meeting. I'm so sorry I was late. I'm like, oh, that's cool. She's like, I've been following you for 3 years. Me and my husband, we watch all your videos. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, it's so cool. But I'm trying to learn how to respond. Like, not like, oh yeah, but like, wow, thank you. Like, all the compliments are amazing and the encouragement. And I'm learning how to take that in and to make sure that I can be humble about it, or I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up here in St. Louis. We're a little different here.
It's a big small city.
Yeah. Like John Hamm said before, like we don't like talking about ourselves here.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. I'm learning.
Well, could it also be the variable? And this is something that I'm feeling. Not to the same extent, forgive me, because I'm not trying to put myself on your pedestal, but one of the things that I've noticed about the podcast that I never had in fighting was the podcast seems to be an amplification of everybody else. Therefore, everybody has positive vibes for the podcast, where fighting was an amplification of myself. So, like, if you were an opponent of mine or whatever, there was negative vibes.
Yeah.
So for you, Taco King, Taco Fest, in a lot of ways is like an amplification of an event, the vendors, the people, the culture, the cuisine. There's no real like downside to it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no like animosity, there's no conflict or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed about the podcast that I never had with fighting is like, because it is strictly, or I try to make it strictly a positive thing, the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive, and thus the amount of affection and love I get for it is something that I never experienced with fighting. To the point where when we went to the last stand-up fight series, there were some people that I met there because of the MMA community and the combat sports community who had been watching the podcast. And they were like, they were much more inundated with who I was. Yeah. And I felt almost bad that I had no idea who they were. They'd be like, oh my gosh, Ariel, what's up? And they'd dab me up and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And they'd be like, love the podcast. And then I felt like this guilt of like, oh man, like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate that. Without you, we don't have any of this, right? I'm sure that is similar to what you feel because you have, a much broader, you have a much wider net than I do because you've been doing this much longer and you've put in so much effort into this so that whatever it is that I feel, I'm sure you feel similar, if not more, to a wider expanse. Yeah. Because you are more popular, so I'm sure you have more people do this. Do you ever stop to think like, what's the natural conclusion to this? Like it's only going to get, hopefully, it only gets more. Yeah. So don't you think you should probably get used to it? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm trying. Like I used to feel bad. Like if someone gave me a compliment and to say thank you, I would be like, oh, I'm full of myself just to say thank you. Like, why are you even saying that? Like, or like you even said, like, I want more, right? Because I look at thankful for my followers. I look at my Instagram and go, I only have 11.3K followers, but other people go, bro, that's crazy amount. Like, and I'm learning that you don't need 1 million followers to make this real. Like, I'm not gonna, like my buddy Colin tells me, he's like, bro, you're living in the real world. A lot of people, they live on social media and they'll do social media content and that's all they do, but they can't monetize that, or they can't bring that out. Directly correlated to it. Yeah, it's a completely different thing. And it started social media to that instead of business adding social media. I didn't know that. And so Taco King came before Taco Fest. Oh my gosh, yeah. I didn't know that. I did Taco King for a year or two, and it wasn't until my buddy Colin, who took my
I mean, he helped with me with my creativity. He helped me with my content, with videoing, going on the road with me. He took from doing reviews to doing interviews on the street, inspired me to do skits. And now we have some other things in the works that are going to happen. And
OnlyFans.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. I have had the thought of doing a funny OnlyFans.
Okay.
With somehow tacos and stuff. But of course, my wife would never go with it. So, yeah.
Watch me eat a taco.
Yeah, what taco, you know? I've asked people on the street, hey, name me 3 tacos. You always get those one guys.
Oh, yeah.
They go,
I was that guy.
Brown taco. Oh, yeah, you said that too.
Bro, he got me at the last fight. Yeah, thank God.
I didn't play it.
Give me some context here. It's during the tornado at the last NFA. I'm fucking blitzed.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
Boys, I'm like fucking, like, I've had like... Yeah, I had like 6 whiskeys at a time.
Yeah.
And Taco's like, name me 3 tacos. I was like, yo, girl.
Yeah. And I go,
and Taco King's like,
whoa. He's like, no, man, I'm just playing. And then he named, and then somebody on the other side was like a pink taco, brown taco. It was crazy. I'm like, yeah, I get those.
You gotta know the audience. Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. It was great. It's great content. Like I've learned to just roll with it.
Yeah.
Like, I used to not let it sit, and I would just go straight into after they say it, and it can ruin it. You just got to let the people talk and say it, you know.
Is it a reflection of repetition? Just because you've done it so much?
Yeah. My first interview was Delmar. And
on the Loop?
On the Loop, yeah.
God
first
bless.
interview ever.
God bless.
And it took me 10 minutes just to ask somebody, and once again, my buddy Colin's like, here, give me the mic. Don't even record. He said, don't even record. And he just grabbed the mic for me, and he went up to a random person. We weren't even recording. I literally was standing there, but they answered the question, and there was nobody. There's no camera. And they looked at me like I had a camera. And then they walked there, and my buddy Colin's like, all right, thanks, man. And the dude walked away, and I'm like, what was he talking to?
Big Dick Colin was like, here's how it's done.
Really?
Shout out Colin.
Real talk,
the real
man.
OG.
1L Colin, go follow him.
It took a gringo to show this Mexican how to do it.
Bro, it really did. I literally was like, what? This dude I didn't even have a camera, and this guy thought we were filming and then just walked off.
You know what that was? White privilege personified. I was about to say white guilt. I don't know why I was thinking white guilt.
I was like, wait a minute.
White privilege personified. The white man thinks he can just go up and ask questions.
He just did it. But I literally, after that, I got the mic and then that was it. Yeah, that was it, man. And then we went on he went on my taco trip with me, and we drove all the way to California. And then around and interviewed a lot of different people, man.
Bro, you did an interview with this gay couple. Dudes.
This shit in San Francisco?
This shit had me dying. He goes up to 2 gay guys, name me 3 tacos, and these guys are like, I haven't seen a taco in my life.
Yeah, pretty much. Let me just say that has 430,000 views. I should have more. It definitely should.
I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, guys.
You should see the comments. Like there's I want to say thousands of comments. No, there's thousands of comments on there, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. It's like, how do they even know what a taco is? There's no way they even tacos.
I didn't comment it.
Yeah, and then the one guy was Mexican or Asian. I know one guy was Mexican, the other guy was Mexican Asian, and he goes, oh.
By the way, very healthy couple, looked very happy.
Oh yeah.
God bless them. I'm sure they're living a great life.
Oh, definitely.
However.
Yeah.
Never seen a taco in their life.
He's like, I don't know any tacos. That's what the guy literally said. And then the other guy didn't understand English, and so I had to say it in Spanish. And
you did a great job. You pivoted well.
I get it. I saw them. I'm going to be honest here. I saw them walk in and go, oh, this is a clickbait right here. Because they had a dog or something. I don't know.
It wasn't the dog.
They had. I mean, he was the way they were dressed and the way they talked. Yes,
there's gay, and then there's this couple.
Oh yeah, I'm sure gay people were saying they were really gay. Like it was, you could just tell. Because even he goes, oh, tacos. I don't know if that means they're gay, but that's what he did. And in my head, I'm just loving it. I'm like, oh, this is great.
I fucking watched it.
I don't discriminate. I'll interview anybody.
I said that to my wife, and she's like, what are you watching? I was like, don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah, see, I can't. See, I couldn't go to one of those protests. And
which protest?
Oh, just any type of protest nowadays. Like for me, I would be like, that whole "what is a woman" thing. I'd be like, well, what is a taco? Like just to do something like that. We almost did it in Chicago because they had the
what is a taco?
Yeah, what is a woman?
Yeah, definitely don't go to like a trans parade.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do.
Definitely don't do that.
Maybe get hired by Turning Point USA.
Bro, you can get punched. Let me show you.
Well, maybe they won't punch me. Oh, well, I mean, they do. I can't think of that dude, David Harris. I know he goes to some places in interview, and they give him crap. Yeah, Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but he's got a fucking security team too. You're raw dogging.
I mean, you see David Harris though, but that dude's
doesn't matter.
That dude's a stock dude.
Cool. What do you do against a gun or a knife? Actually, they're liberals. They don't have.
Yeah. Well, it would be a transgender. The only ones I've ever seen get violent, are transgenders. They'll get violent because they're a man.
Really? Oh yeah.
They're a man.
Well, funny what happens with
majority
elevated T levels.
I wanted to do different content like that, because asking the questions and I don't want to just be one thing.
From one man to another. I'm so glad you didn't do that one. I'm glad that one crumbled up and we threw that one away.
I wish I would have because this
maybe
one guy,
actually that's the one that goes viral.
Yeah.
Because that shit would go viral.
It would. Right now on TikTok, it really goes viral.
You also have the fucking scapegoat because could you imagine if like a white liberal man-woman
comes and says something to me?
Hits a minority?
Yeah. Yeah.
On the socioeconomic totem pole,
hit me.
You're the victim. You're the victim.
I'm that guy who'll stir the pot, man. Like I'm waiting for my buddy Colin. He's like, bro, we should go. We should.
Dude, who is Colin?
I got introduced.
We need to get Colin on the fucking podcast. Man, so I was telling that pussy, let's fucking go.
Yeah. And you would, if you meet him, you would think skinny, tall, glasses. No way. But his videos are. I mean, his type of content's different, but I mean...
Does he have his own thing?
Oh, my gosh.
I need to follow Colin.
Oh, my gosh. A lot of it, I will tell you, like, my wife goes, oh, I can't stand that. I think it's hilarious.
I need to follow Colin.
I think it's hilarious. He does some weird stuff.
Bro, if a woman tells me, I'm like, ooh, really?
Oh, he does. I mean,
content.
I remember when Jake Paul came out with his lunchly with the "My cheese is drippy too" or whatever. He goes, "My cheese is drippy." He did this whole thing where he's sitting in front of the TV and he has cheese all over him, and he's like, "I love my cheese drippy too, Jake Paul." Just 6 million views, 7 million views. Even Jake Paul used that clip on his podcast. Really? Yeah, it was like. I mean, he does. If you want to take your YouTube to the next level or anything, Colin is. Well, he gets paid by big time YouTubers to
actually do that shit.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's only like 22, 23, something like that.
Nice. Sorry, strategic bathroom breaks. The nice thing is that this isn't live, so I can just fucking stop whatever I want.
Right, I love that. Right.
We were talking about how Colin, does work for like these YouTube guys or whatever, or could possibly collaborate or whatever it is that he intertwines his work with. And my question to you is, it kind of goes back to the original question of like, to what end? So let me give you a synopsis of me. For the podcast, the growth and the sustainability is directly correlated to followership and viewership, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also not offering like a tangible product. Yeah. I'm not selling tacos. I'm not selling whatever it is. So for you, I can understand how the amplification of Taco King could then result in the direct correlation to increased revenue for Taco Fest, and vice versa. The bigger Taco Fest gets, the bigger Taco King gets.
Yeah.
But let's say for a gentleman like Colin, if he does this, video for like a Jake Paul type character, and it gets used and it gets like 6 million views, he doesn't have a podcast. He doesn't have a business. So then, forgive me for asking, and perhaps you're not the right person to ask, but like my question for Colin would be like, to what end? What is this for?
Yeah.
Is this for notoriety to then do something with it? Like, have you ever had a conversation with him?
Oh yeah. He loves helping people succeed in their vision, and he loves helping them get to that vision. At least from the conversations that we've had, I know. For him, it's to create, like him helping other, like for instance, getting paid by other YouTubers so then he can create his own stuff. I know at one point he was doing that too much, and now since he's focused on his, I mean, he's
crushing it.
Oh yeah, he's definitely crushing it. YouTube, I think he has like 4,000 subscribers, but the thing is, he has like 4 different
accounts.
Yeah, because he does different things. It's
I've
crazy.
also realized that there is zero correlation to Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I'll have one.
Yes.
Like when Whitney got that 800,000 view reel, I thought to myself, oh my gosh.
Yep.
It's going to directly correlate to like YouTube views. It's actually one of our like mid episodes, the second time we had her.
Wow.
So it showed me, by the way, 100% we've definitely had guests that like bought their viewership.
Yeah.
Because I know I can look at the analytics and there's like a bunch of different metrics. So it's not necessarily just views. It can be like average watched hours. You know what I mean? Or
you need that. Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is this will be 92 episodes. It'll be episode 92. I've done 92 episodes of this podcast and I have not been able to correlate Instagram to YouTube at all.
Yeah.
Completely separate.
Machines. Yeah.
Completely separate. And now there's a pro and a con to that. The pro to that is I can still use like whatever reels I create for Instagram, I 100% use for YouTube.
Yeah.
Like if you go to our Instagram and YouTube, same fucking content, right? Yep. So like there's the nice thing about like that, the Venn diagram being completely separate. So like the same piece of content is still relevant for 2 different platforms. Yeah. That's nice. But then the con to that is, you know, if something goes viral on Instagram, it doesn't necessarily do anything for YouTube and vice versa. Like dude, we're getting to the point. This is an interesting variable. We have like 1,140 subscribers on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then
it's hard to get 1,000. It's so tough. People don't understand.
I say that as like I'm not unhappy about that. I say that as like yes, like we did great. But we have like 1,400 followers on Instagram. Now it's not that that is important to me per se. Yeah. But it is interesting because I was like, okay, am I doing something like on YouTube that I should be doing on Instagram? Am I doing something on Instagram that I should be doing on YouTube? Why is it that these are getting close? Like everybody I see usually has like a higher Instagram or social media presence than they do on YouTube. Yeah. I just don't know. Yeah. And here's the problem. Just like you're learning about Taco Fest, abs, vibes, you're eating shit and all this stuff. Dude, same thing with me on the podcast. Yeah. I've eaten heaps of shit already. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, what's the best avenue? I don't think I fucking know it. Yeah. I'm just creating content and posting it and then crossing my fingers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's how you have to start out, is just doing and just posting, you know. I used to try to be, like we were just talking earlier, you know, you could do a great video and you put all effort, all the money, all your time, and then it's crap views, right? Yeah. And then you do something that is like off your phone and then it's like, what the heck? And then another video doesn't do good or something, you know, then it does. But I think, 92 episodes, amazing. A lot of people don't even get that far. There's consistency in that. And I think as you're just posting, you're going to figure out, okay, this works, this doesn't work, this sticks. That spaghetti thrown on the wall. That's how my content is. I don't like doing the same thing. I have to do something different. Probably doesn't help with the algorithm, but I just want to create so I don't feel chained down to what they say you have to do to get the algorithm to push it. Oh, you got to have 30-second videos. You got to go live every day. You got to post so many times a week or whatever. I don't give a crap about any of that. I just want to have fun in what I post. And if it takes off, it takes off. Now, Colin has helped me where he says, okay, YouTube and Instagram are different. So I used to post all of my stuff on everything. But what's stopping? Because and then a lot of it is there's only people that watch YouTube. There's only people that are on Spotify. Yeah. You know, there's only people on this.
They've chosen their platform.
Yeah. But he's helped me to go, okay, so you have this 1 minute video. All right, we can take this off. Now there's apps nowadays that will cut it for you.
Dude, AI nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so
the game has changed.
Definitely has.
In the year that I've been in, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you can download anything and whatnot, do that. I edit, we do it all ourselves just so we know, like I I only have Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I'm working on YouTube. I think we're around 1,400 subscribers right now on YouTube, which
Crushing
is
it.
Yeah, man. It's
Better
like
than me.
it's taken a long time, and you can go like YouTube is. I'll have 400,000 views on that video. You know, you're talking about the couple on YouTube. It's like 5,000 views.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Like my most views. I literally just cracked 20,000 views the other day. Off of my buddy Colin being locked in the trunk. I guess that's a YouTube type of content versus on Instagram. It doesn't even have that many views.
You told me that you had one thing that had like 6 million, right?
No, he has 6. Yeah,
you had one thing that hit like 2 or 3 million.
It's about to hit 3 million on Instagram.
So that same video, him in the trunk.
No, this one, the one that hit almost about to hit 3 million. That's one where I have my Ray-Ban, my Meta glasses, and I'm just sitting at the table, and these guys had Modelos, and they end up giving me a Modelo.
Oh yeah,
and
shout out those guys.
Yeah, right, exactly. And the weirdest thing, it didn't take off because of that. It took off because of the political stuff that's going on with deportation with Mexicans. A lot of comments are, see, why would you deport them? Yeah. See how they're awesome. All they want to do is work and drink, you know, and I think that's the majority of the comments on there. But
politically driven.
Yeah. Well, it's a clickbait. Another thing is I learned with my clickbait, all right? Colin taught me if you do things that drive people crazy, they cannot help. Yeah, they have to comment and they have to watch it again. So you have a Modelo in a lime. You're usually going to push that lime down or squeeze the lime in the Modelo and drink the Modelo. But what I did is I took the lime out and I just set it on the table and go to drink. And I mean, just hundreds of comments of people going, "Oh, I can't believe you took the lime out. You're not supposed to drink beer like that."
I probably would have commented something.
You see?
I would have been like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
And I learned that from Colin.
I would have taken the beer back. Like,
yeah.
He lost
oh
it.
my gosh. Or people will go and comment and says, "I can't believe you didn't buy him another beer. Where's part 2 of buying them a beer?" So on the next one I did, the part 2 on somebody else's, I bought them a beer and showed it. You know, you just learn those things and as you grow, because I didn't know that in the beginning, and even if Colin knew that, I wasn't ready for it, and I'm more ready for it now, and it just comes I'm being used to it. So,
isn't it crazy how it seems the massive production and the initial cost for media and entertainment? Okay, let me take a step back. It used to be for you to produce something, you had to get on like cable TV or satellite, right?
Yeah.
Which means you needed to be tied to like a network, which means you needed a studio, which means you needed like, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars of like equipment and all this other stuff. So like the barrier to entry to even produce a thing, even if it was dog shit, was so monumental. Yeah. Now it feels like, so YouTube is actually the most consumed media ever. Yeah. So YouTube, like, more people watch YouTube than watch Instagram, TikTok, whatever. More people watch YouTube than watch TV, movies. Like the most consumed media is YouTube. Interesting, right? Because YouTube also has, you could rent movies, you can watch news.
You can listen to their music.
You can watch shorts, you can listen to music, what have you. You do YouTube TV. Yeah. You can watch
now
TV
they have
on
subscriptions
YouTube.
You pay for that.
So I guess my question to you now is, do you think it is interesting, or what do you think about the nature of media changing to where you and I, dude, if you have an iPhone, and you have a YouTube account, you can now be a YouTuber, right? For better or worse. Is that a good? Is that a bad thing? What is your synopsis on the trends for how media is going? Because let me add to that question. I can't tell you the last time I've been to the movie theater. Yeah. I can't tell you the last show I finished on Netflix. Yeah. But I watch podcasts a whole fucking lot. Right. I have YouTubers now for various things, everything from gaming to finance to tech, that like I follow and I watch their content like religiously. In fact, like whenever they come out with a new video, I'm like, oh fuck yeah. Like I put it on my bookmark and then I'll watch that later whenever I'm working, right? Yeah. I never got like that about any TV show. I never got like that about a movie or whatever. Is this a good? Is this a bad thing? Is this something that you even notice?
I think it's a 50-50 thing. Like it's good and bad. Like you get people that should never get those things, and they film and
Don't
whatnot.
Don't look me in the eyes when you say that.
Yeah. No. I was thinking more like Hawk Tua, you know? Yeah, so some people get that stuff and then...
That's a fucking animal, isn't it?
Yeah, because then she even had
crypto,
she had the crypto.
And the rug pull.
And then she disappeared.
No, she's back now, isn't she?
No. She's still gone. Yeah, she said she was coming back after the crypto thing, and then
how is that
had
legal?
A little stunt, and then not.
How is that legal?
How
is that legal?
There's still not sanctions.
Because here's the problem, right?
Crypto's still wild
The capitalist in me is like, hey, I don't want the government to get involved in like the market.
Yeah.
If someone wants to buy a hunk of shit for $100,
yeah,
let them buy a hunk of shit for $100.
Yeah.
However, how many of these meme coins now have just become like pure rug pulls?
It's Darwinism.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah, but the problem with Darwinism in the sense of finance is the people don't die.
It used to be worse though.
No, but hold up. Let me caveat this. So Darwinism works with like survival of the fittest when it's like these people will die or this animal will die and then they won't procreate. The problem with financial Darwinism is they're not dead.
No.
They're just broke.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Oh,
You don't want a bunch of rich people and a bunch of broke people.
Yeah.
What you want is this spectrum of like the extreme to actually be very minimal, and you want the rubber band between them to be maximum.
Yeah.
That's why they say a robust middle class. So here's my like response to you is like, yes, however, left to its own conclusion, it eats itself.
What's stopping
because that's the thing, is like what's stopping okay.
Doing the same shit.
You want to know what's stopping them? Laws.
Well,
you can't go into gamble until you're this much age, and you know, you can leverage and gamble and stuff like that, but like there are certain hurdles to do that.
But
right?
laws for financially here, though, they're not really strict at all.
Well,
like you can get people that can steal millions, and it's their first offense, and only be in jail for a year or two.
When you say steal millions, can you? I'm not asking you to like get like hyper focused. Could you elaborate a little more? Like, what do you mean?
It's like just like in
crypto.
Like in stock and stuff, you know.
When you say steal millions, forgive me. What do you mean by that? Meaning, like, what do you mean by steal millions?
What's his name? Yeah, didn't how?
Well, he did go to prison.
Yeah,
he
but
died in prison.
He
so
died?
It's like
he died.
Yeah, he died in prison.
How'd he die?
In prison. Like of age.
Just of age. He's old.
Yeah. Well, he was old when he got... Okay,
How many years did he get?
Forgive me. For those that don't know who Bernie Madoff was, Bernie Madoff was like the original like Ponzi scheme guy who essentially was like the king of Wall Street for the longest time, was even on the board of the SEC, which is fucking bananas to me, and not one single actual trade did he commit. So what he was essentially doing was taking investor money. Someone like Taco King would come up to me and be like, hey, Aaron, I got $1 million. Like, I'm going to give you this $1 million and invest it for me. And what he essentially did was a Ponzi scheme where you take the newest investor, you take their money to pay out the older investor, and then you kind of keep this cycle going, but you're not really producing anything. So Bernie Madoff, what he did was he was saying that he was a hedge fund manager. He was saying that he was making investments, but he never made a single trade. Or at the very least, the trades that he did make were like minimal. Yeah. He had multi-billion-dollar portfolio. None of it existed.
What about the Polka King?
What?
The Polka King, dude.
I don't even know who the Polka King is.
That dude was taking money from people that wanted to invest, and then he ended up not...
not investing in it at all?
Jack Black played him on the Netflix.
So I don't know about that guy. Interesting, I might look that up. But for
definitely,
Bernie Madoff,
it's a good movie.
The reason Bernie Madoff was like so like mind-blowing for everyone was because he was like next to legislators. He was pushing legislation. The fact that he could get away with this for as long as he did was so astronomically mind-blowing to everyone.
It was like a 30-year scheme.
How many years did he get?
Well, for a good portion of it, he was legitimate. Yeah. But once he got to a certain point, it was all fictional, right?
How many years did he get?
Life. Like multiple life sentences.
He got life?
Bro, we're talking about billions.
Really?
And here's the worst part is like, I do not want to sound like I'm an apologist for Bernie Madoff. I'm not. He deserved everything he got. But the problem with that was also like, you sent a 70-year-old. Like, the issue with a lot of financial fraud is some of the people that are doing it are some of the most learned, most elderly. So like, if you do get to the point where you catch someone in fraud, you give a 70-year-old 10 life sentences. Okay, what do you give him? 5 years in prison?
Yeah, he's gonna
go. I
think
think Bernie Madoff served 6 or 7 years in prison and died.
What is the first, like, if it's your first offense of fraud, financial fraud, what's
prison?
Yeah, well, I know, but how many years?
It just depends.
It depends on the monetary value.
Right?
We're talking about billions of dollars.
Yeah, I know that, but like if you're doing, like, even if it's millions, like what? I don't even think they give over 5 years on your first offense.
That's not true.
On fraud.
So, okay.
I want to look that up.
No, but so you can if you don't mind.
Look it up. What's it? Yeah.
So let's.
I'm curious because I just feel like our country doesn't do big when it comes to financial.
I think I know why you say that.
Yeah.
I think you say that because of '08. Because
you
allowed there were bankers that allowed for the housing crisis to manufacture and produce and
that was a whole thing. They were saying, "Oh, these institutions, if they go under, but they've been around for how long?"
Yeah, you want to know you want to know the unsexy truth about that is they are both wrong and right.
Yeah.
Because how bad was the recession? Do you remember it? 08?
In 2008. I mean, I was probably 22 or something.
So maybe it didn't hit you that hard. But let's say you were like a 60-year-old, 70-year-old, and you were thinking about retiring.
Yeah.
It's saying it just depends on.
That's it. It just depends.
Depends on the monetary value.
There's no minimum or max.
Well,
how many people
you messed.
Yeah.
That's kind of messed up though. Still, it should have a.
Well, let me ask you this. If you steal $1 million from a millionaire, or if you steal $5,000 from people that only have $100 in their bank account, which one's worse? Monetarily.
Well, if you're looking at the numbers,
the actual value, it's the millionaire, right?
Yeah,
but in terms of percentages of income or net worth, it's actually not.
I'm sure the millionaire has more money.
The 5,000 person
the other
actually
people
did more damage.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have the FBI knocking on your door because I looked up what do you get the first time when you commit financial.
Well, dude,
the FBI knocks on your door.
Be careful what you start googling because we're gonna get like the CIA.
Right, you're gonna show up
down. Like, what are you googling? Fucking. No,
my sister's trying to be.
The reason I think you say that is because it is actually stemmed in reality where 08 happened. Only one person went to prison, and it was like a low level accountant for hiding like a couple $100,000, which is insane. You're not incorrect in saying that like there was an industry leading standard of unaccountability or the absence of accountability. Where if you were to take $5,000, if you were to go to a gas station and rob somebody at gunpoint for $5,000, you're gonna get like 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, these people robbed us blind of millions, if not billions, if not close to trillions of dollars of value.
Yeah.
And got bonuses actually after the Ben Bernanke and I forget the name of the guy, but under the Obama administration, gave out the bonuses to the banks because they forced them to take the bailouts.
Is that more of power? Because if we have the laws there, that means it should be for everybody. But because they have the power? What
happens when you create a law you cannot enforce? What happens if I tell you, jaywalking is a criminal offense?
Yeah.
Everyone does it.
Yeah.
What's the first rule of legislation? Never create a law you can't enforce.
Yeah.
Now the problem is with a lot of our, with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, with FDIC, with the national banks, like I want to be careful how I say this, forgive me, because now we're getting into like a slightly serious thing.
Yeah.
So I want to be careful the verbiage I use. In isolation, the legislation that we currently have works. If I individually commit fraud, I individually will go to prison, rightfully so. However, the issue comes in towards scope. If everyone is doing the same shit, and that's how you get 08, actually 08 is even that on steroids, but essentially what you're doing is you're creating an industry standard through competition. Can you really take everybody on Wall Street to prison? Are they all guilty? Yes. Yeah. Are you going to take all of Wall Street into... It's the same way I would say about weed back in the day. Back when, weed technically still federally is illegal, but way back in the day, if someone got caught with a little bit of weed, cops get the fuck out of here as long as you don't got guns.
Or they take it,
and they let you go on your way. Technically illegal. Technically I should send you. But so many people were getting caught with weed that they were just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. Do I want to do the paperwork?
Do you want to have... It gets to the point where the cop's like, dude, I don't even fucking care. If you're not... If you don't have a warrant and you don't have illegal guns, get the fuck out of here. Stop being stupid. That's what happened in a sense. Not in a sense, forgive me. What happened in 08 was... the government was in over their head. Had they allowed for the banks to... if you did not bail out the banks, you would have had a global depression, not a recession. Yeah. And 08 was already tough, even with the bailouts, because everything stems from monetary. How do people go to Taco Fest if they don't have money?
Yeah.
They can't even buy a car because they can't finance it because the bank doesn't exist to finance it. Yeah. So how do you have a Taco Fest? The downstream effects of the financial banking industry collapsing is so monumental, you collapse society. Now
they're trying to say every bank was going to collapse.
It would have.
Every bank
would have eventually collapsed, because what's going to happen to people that don't have any money? They're going to imagine you have all your money at Goldman Sachs.
That
you
doesn't inspire new business.
No,
new
because
banks?
there's no money.
So you're saying all the money would have went away?
Let me go down this rabbit hole with you for instance. Let's say you have $100 million.
From someone I don't even know.
I'm with you. That's why I'm trying to go down the rabbit hole with you. Let's say you have $100 million in Goldman Sachs, and Goldman Sachs goes under.
Yeah.
You have zero money. What are you going to do? Go to First Community Credit Union? You have no money. Now, what if you have $5,000 and you have money in First Community Credit Union, and you see that the guy down the street with the $10 million home is fucking bankrupt? What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to go get your money out of First Community Credit Union because you realize cash on hand is king now. Mm-hmm. And that's how you have a run on the banks. That's how you have a Great Depression. You don't have a depression or any of these things because, people don't have money. The problem is, especially now with fiat currency, the amount of money in circulation has never and will never exist in physical form. There's too many trillions of dollars. There's not enough trees to cut down to print the money. So what you're asking is well, won't capitalism work? No, because capitalism will implode, because it will die, because it's over-leveraged. Now, there's two ways to look at that. There is the defensive way or the conservative way of saying we should go back on the gold standard and we should back every single dollar with at least an ounce of gold or what have you, the equivalent value of gold. Or if not gold, some sort of precious metal, something. Tie it, peg it to something. The problem with that is, good luck. Good luck. What are you going to do with, we have what, $40 trillion of just debt? Is there enough gold in existence to quantify $40 trillion of debt? Not even commerce that's happening. Just the debt of the U.S. government. Not to mention, Google this. How many countries in the world are in debt right now? And this is the slippery slope. This is the slippery slope. Because you inadvertently asked a very poignant question that actually has a lot of downstream effects. How did we allow for this to happen? It is not the failure of the Obama administration and the Bush administration was not that 2008 happened. It was the response to 2008. Because two things could be simultaneously possible. You could admit the banks were too big to fail and then break them up to ensure that no bank is too big to fail. And that if
54 countries are in a debt crisis,
50,
probably more.
Yeah, 54 are in a debt crisis. What's the threshold of a crisis? So how many of them are just in debt, right? 54 out of what, 280 countries? So we're talking about a sixth of the countries in the world are in debt. How does that happen? Who owns the debt? We're all running on credit. Now here's the problem with that credit.
$100 trillion of global debt.
Do you even have $100 trillion of gold in the world? Even at this point, even if we wanted to do the fiscally responsible thing, I don't think it's possible because we just fucking ran with it. To go back to the question though, the failure of the Obama and the Bush administration was not that 2008 happened. It was the response to that afterwards. If you would have broken up the banks, if you would have forced tighter regulations, if you would have created legislation to prevent this from happening again, then I would have said that, hey, it was tough. We fucked up, but we did right. However, the opposite happened. We bailed them out. We essentially showed them you could do whatever you want, whenever you want. The taxpayers will always bail you out because the consequence of you failing truly is so monumental, none of us would ever do it. Here we are in 2025 with $40 trillion of debt at the national level at the end of 2025. So not yet, but getting there. We're going to approach, I think, a $1.7 trillion deficit because of interest and our obligations, between the difference between tax revenue and obligations, like the money that we bring in, the money that we spend. Simultaneously, if you look at industries leading bubbles, people are now financing Uber Eats orders. Take that back for a second. Do you not have $15 for your Chipotle?
Yeah.
There's two ways to look at that. You can look at that at the individual level and say you're a fucking loser, you don't have $15. Or you can look at that as a societal, a macro, and go, how the fuck do people not have $15? This is the problem with capitalism and communism in isolation. Communism eats itself and devolves into capitalism. Unfettered capitalism will eventually lead to monarchy or monopoly, which will then lead to communism because there'll only be one producer of all the goods and services, will eventually lead to collapse, will eventually lead to capitalism again. The problem with this is we say we're capitalistic. We say that we have all these other things, but there's a separate rule set that you and I play with because we are small. There's a separate rule set these giant institutions that are international play with. to go back to the initial question of how any of this is possible, Amazon, the company Amazon, has a higher net worth or a higher value of being than some countries in this world. Let that sink in for a second. You could be like a third world nation, have pride in your legacy and all this other stuff, and the company Amazon is worth more than your people, your land, your heritage, your legacy. Is that good or bad? I'm not the moral compass here. But what I am saying is, you know, capitalism works in theory because you're essentially saying that there's competition, so that will really, that'll get to the point where there's multiple producers of a good or service. The market will decide. Competition will keep prices low, and then competition will also keep prices low. But ingenuity and R&D and all these other things will get better. Efficiency, capitalism is the way to go. However, if you have one person who's hyper good at what the fuck they do, what they'll do is they'll grow vertically, become number one, and then grow horizontally. Now, if you're like a brick and mortar store, you're competing against Walmart, another brick and mortar store, good fucking luck. If you're an online retailer and you're competing against Amazon, good fucking luck. If you're a hopeful social media company, good luck.
I think Josh Hawley's going after them. Or Visa and them because the whole credit card they have monopolized.
But here's the thing about the credit card companies is like, you know, it's like me telling you, okay, you can only eat Domino's and McDonald's, and if you get fat, I'm going to penalize you.
Yeah.
The fuck would you tell me?
Yeah.
Well, can I get some vegetables? Can I get something healthier? And I tell you no.
Yeah.
So it's like Josh Hawley's going after the interest rates on the credit cards. Yeah. The better question to ask is, why is everybody having to finance everything?
Yeah.
Why do I need a credit card?
Yeah.
Why can I not live without one? Why is it that I think 70% of Americans are in chronic debt to credit card companies, which chronic debt is over the value of $10,000, 70%. And at 24% interest rates, so now you have legislators going, oh, well, you know, they're $10,000 at 24%. That's too much. We got to cap it at 10%. No. Why is it that they need to borrow $10,000 to fucking live? Yeah. That's the real question. So it's like, sometimes you can get to the root cause, and sometimes you can get to the surface level. Surface level is easier for politicians because they don't risk losing their seat. Fucking root level, dude, that's when you have to like upend industries. I mean, there's not a single lobbying firm that is not connected to an industry that has, you know, ground to lose by changing anything. You want to change anything with pharmaceuticals and healthcare? There's a lobbying firm for that. There's industry for that. You want to change anything with like fast food or any sort of like even Taco Bell and any sort of like anything with food, like good luck. There's a lobbying firm for that.
Yeah.
You have states now that are banning
food dyes.
Not food dyes, synthetic meats.
Oh, Montana?
I believe it was the governor of Montana just passed this, just signed it into law. But you have states that are banning synthetic meats. Not because it's unsustainable, not because like there's not a market for it or anything, but because they're trying to actively support cattle farmers.
Yeah.
That's the most uncapitalistic thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
If there's a market for synthetic meats, let it go. If there's not, they'll implode on their own. Why is the government getting involved in these markets? It's such a, forgive me because I went down this rabbit hole, but you asked a good question of like, you know, it's not really illegal.
Yeah.
You're not incorrect. Like, do we have legislation in place for a lot of these aspects of life? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Will they ever be acted upon? No. For a multitude of reasons. Because if you do, you're going to go against the status quo. If you go against the status quo, there will be efforts against you through lobbying firms and industries that will prevent your reelection. And if you don't, you run the risk of not being reelected because you weren't an agent for change. Yeah. You're just another politician.
Yeah.
That's why I say I don't find any solace in this is going to be kind of weird because I voted for Donald Trump and I do think he's doing good work. I don't find solace in like, you know, Josh Hawley being my senator.
Yeah.
Or whoever the fuck my alderwoman is in my city of St. Louis, right? I find solace in corporation. I think what we need to bring back in America is patriotism. You need to bring back a love for country for the same reason that you need to bring back religion. Because if left to our own devices, if left to just capitalism, if left to just like the dollar above all, you implode. Yeah. As a human, as a family, as a community, as a society, as a race of beings.
Yeah.
We cannot look to others to solve our problems as much as we can try to solve them ourselves through success.
Yeah.
I don't trust anybody else to fix the world.
Yeah.
But if I had the means to do it, then I could act on it myself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a grandiose thing and very cryptic. Forgive me. We took a very serious turn into this.
No, it's good.
But the reason I bring it up is simply because the initial inquiry that you had about like, well, is there any of this fucking, who gets in trouble? Who actually gets sent to prison? I think a lot of people fucking think that way.
Yeah.
And does that make them right or wrong? No, it is. And when enough people, the problem with facts is if enough people believe a lie, it becomes the truth. We've seen it time and time again. So it doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters what the people think the truth is.
Yeah.
And that's a slippery fucking slope.
Yeah.
Because if enough people think that there's no accountability for these people, even though there should be, on paper there should be. If people believe that there's not, they get apathetic, they get all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's how you get anger. That's how you get fucking Luigi Mangione gunning down the CEO of United Healthcare. That's how
you'd be shocked how many people were okay
rooting
with that.
for that.
Yeah.
Not okay with it.
Yeah.
Rooting for it.
Yeah.
And here's the problem.
That's crazy.
Here's the biggest problem about that is you can't blame them.
No. I mean, well, from what the thoughts and what they believe is okay or not okay.
You can see how they came to that conclusion.
Yeah. The understanding of that.
Not blaming someone does not mean that I advocate for them. I think Luigi Mangione should go to prison. He killed a man in cold blood.
Yeah.
We have laws against that.
Yeah.
However, I can understand how an individual got to that level, to that place where they thought that this was the adequate response for what was being done against what he perceived to be him. Yeah.
They took it into their own hands.
And this is why I say you don't want a bunch of haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
You want a bunch of people that have equity in this.
Yeah. That
feel like if they put in enough effort, if they put in enough gumption and hard work and they stay ethical, and they don't lie, and they don't do all this shit, they can produce a better life than the life they had, and then produce a better life for the next generation. And if you lose that, what we call the American dream, if you lose that, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah.
Why work hard?
What? Yeah.
Why not just be a fraud?
This is not even.
Why not just steal? Why not just pillage? Why not just kill people?
Yeah.
I hate to say it this way because it sounds very like morbid, but like society hangs on the balance of a thread, and that thread is hope.
Yeah.
The hope that through doing the right thing, you can achieve more than your predecessor. And then in so doing, the ones that come after you will be able to achieve more than you.
Yeah.
If that ceases to be the case, what do you have?
Yeah.
It gets dark fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And forgive me because I feel like I've been talking for like the last 20 fucking minutes. But
that's
Bernie Madoff, Ponzi scheme, But I guess the rabbit hole that I'm trying to go down, and I'm going to pin it on this, and we'll go back to you. Forgive me.
No, you're good. It's a good conversation.
Is that so? To my core, I believe in meritocracy, capitalism, the free and open markets. However, I can easily see, even as a person who believes in all these things, I can easily see the bastardization of these things and how they could easily be morphed to actually hurt the majority and help the minority.
Yeah.
If that is the case, then we need to all take a step back and realize that all of these things are man-made creations. And nothing is, communism sounds great in theory until it's applied.
Yeah.
Same thing can happen to capitalism. Yeah. Sounds great in theory until it's applied. Once we realize that all these things are man-made creations and they're only as good as the men behind them, then maybe we'll start putting great men behind these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great presidents, great CEOs.
Agendas change, though.
What?
Agendas change. Something
Elaborate.
Captain America said. He says the person might be good, but people's agendas always change.
I think a great man changes people. I don't think a great man is changed by people.
What's a great man?
Yeah, it's
right.
What is a man?
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, what is
discipline and responsibility?
How many people have thought, in the 50s, all these dictators, they were great men, and what they did, you can, like Hitler had the whole country behind them thinking what they were doing was great.
I wouldn't say the whole country.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, they had zero unemployment. They had everyone working.
Yeah, I don't believe any of that.
I mean, I'm just saying from the numbers, right?
I know. I don't believe the numbers.
Okay.
Look at China.
Yeah.
If you believe what comes out of China, you believe they had like double-digit GDP growth for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's not the case.
Yeah.
I think what happens is people fucking lie.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think every country has a lie.
I'll give you this example. If you go to communist China now, I'm sure there is a resistance.
Yeah.
A portion of the population that is not necessarily happy.
Yeah.
With the current regime.
Yeah.
Just like when Biden was in office, there's a portion of America that wasn't happy with Biden, and now Trump is in office. There's a portion of America that's not happy with Trump.
That's what I'm saying. What really makes that person great? Because it could be a great man, but agendas do change.
I think discipline and responsibility. These two attributes more than any other.
Yeah.
I think intellect and all these things are nice. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But a wise man knows what he knows and knows what he doesn't. And I'm not looking for like a great man. To me is someone that can handle both the responsibility of what he burdens himself with discipline to not act on what he wants to and does what is right. What is right is deduced by the mentors around you, the information you're taking in, the path you've walked throughout. If there's a set variable that I really want to emphasize in what makes a great man, it's not monetary, it's not masculinity, it's not testosterone levels, it's not height, weight, all these other shit. It's not confidence. It's responsibility and discipline. How much do I put on my shoulders and how long can I go until I collapse?
Yeah, those are all great characters. I truly believe. I just think agendas change. Like at some point, what's going on around you, or like you were saying, like I can take mentors giving me advice and whatnot being put in my ear. So at some point, this was the agenda.
Yeah,
we accomplished that, but now there's something different.
I think I understand what you're saying, and then perhaps the third variable to that would be time.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill was a great prime minister during World War II.
Yeah.
But when there were peace times, he was awful at the job.
Yeah.
So like Winston Churchill was a great leader under a high pressure environment of direct physical consequence.
Yeah.
But when the war had subsided and when it came to peace times of just like general governance, he actually proved to be, I don't want to say the word incompetent, but lesser for that moment.
He was ready for war. He's a good person when there's war, but not when he's not the, what do the Japanese say? It's talking about a warrior in the garden.
It's better to be a warrior. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of look at him like that. Well, he wasn't that, but he's great for war. He was great for that. But after peace, he didn't even know what to do with himself.
Brother,
maybe he had lack of discipline.
I think you're correct with agendas change.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I was just saying it because it's something that Captain, Marvel. He said, he's like, agendas change. And it just makes sense. They do. And
I think when we look back at history, it's also with the lens of hindsight, and it's 2020.
Yeah.
So I think during COVID, we thought that all these things, all these measures were correct and accurate and all these other things.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to the year of our Lord 2025, we look back with a different perspective.
Yeah.
Does that make them bad or good?
Right.
For you to decide. I'm not your moral compass. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only reason I bring that up is when you were talking about like Hitler during World War II and like how all Germany was behind him. That's just like factually inaccurate because like if you point to one person who wasn't behind him, then that falls apart. 0%
they had
0% unemployment. Suck my dick. That's never existed in any country ever.
Yeah.
That's never existed in any country ever.
They probably had it because they killed off a lot of their people that didn't
Even then, did you kill off everybody that didn't? Okay, what happens if a woman is, in labor and like she's not working that month that she just gave birth to that's unemployment. I guess what I'm trying to say is like semantics matter, words matter because of the definitions of things. So like 0% unemployment, suck my dick. That's never existed. 10% year-over-year GDP growth for China for the last 20 years, suck my dick. That's never existed. Coronavirus happened naturally, suck my dick. I don't believe that for a fucking second. So,
right.
Now, that's what I'm saying. It's easy to suck my dick now, Before we call it quits, because I don't want to end on this. Forgive me. I want to take it back to you. We were talking a little bit about Taco Fest, Taco King, Taco Vibes, but now I'm curious. you obviously had this last fest behind you. What's next? You're talking about this emphasis on content, but I'm more focused on the next Taco Fest. What have you learned? What are you gonna take with you to the next one? Where are you at right now? And that might be a little loaded of a question because it just got done, so maybe you know what I mean. But I'm curious where your mindset is at.
Yeah,
because I'm looking forward to it. I'm coming to the next one now. This shit's a lot of fucking fun.
Thank you. It'd be more fun with the entertainment on the stage too. The next one's in October here in St. Louis, and then next year
where in St. Louis? Forgive me.
We haven't announced it yet.
Not the venue yet. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a little weird here in announcing when I do it, just because I don't want anybody else to follow. I don't take it as a compliment when someone's like, "Oh, they're just trying to do what you're doing." I take that as you're lazy. Think of it yourself. Don't copy my stuff.
So you have a venue, you're just not ready to announce it yet.
Yeah. And we have a date. Here in the next month, we'll post it. Even with my vendors, I do that with my vendors too. And a lot of them like to date and schedule a year in advance. But for me, they know I do it in October, and they know I do it in May. They just don't know whether what dates they are. And I do that so nobody else can try to do it when I do it. We have a taco crawl in August coming up, and that's in St. Charles, where you go to the businesses, the taco spots.
Oh, the actual brick and mortar spots?
Yeah, I'm actually like a bar crawl. Yeah, except for it's you have to drive to these places, so we don't really focus on the margarita side or the drinks, so that way we're not hit with that. It's all tacos. We do tell places have those drinks. But
how do you do that? Do you have a specific 15-30 minute window? We're at this place, then we're gonna be at this place, and we're gonna be at this place.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool.
Well, we'll do a 2 to 6.
Gotcha.
So that way, within those hours, you can check out these places, and they'll have deals just for the taco crawlers. We did our first one last year in St. Charles, and we had about 200 people do it, and so we're gonna do it again in St. Charles, and it all has to go with the brand once again, because next year we're taking this on the road. And so the taco crawl to the taco fest all happening in the same week or two when we go on the road. And
I was about to ask that if you do a taco crawl the week of leading to a taco fest the weekend of.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. What does better,
It's a bunch of people fucking eating tacos week.
All week, yes. And the brand, so we were STL Taco Fest, and this last one we just did was kind of promoting Taco King's Taco Fest, or Taco King's events in a way.
No, smart.
And I did that because if we want to go on the road, there's so many cities that have Taco Fest. Yep. Like Taco Fest. Nobody owns it. Everybody uses it. Kansas City has a Taco Fest. Toronto actually has one of the largest Taco Fests. California, everywhere. There's Taco Fest everywhere. So how do I
differentiate?
Yeah, and not just my brand with the Taco King, but our biggest thing is we are going to have taco spots go with us. So I'm not just doing
a fucking tour.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not doing Taco Fests that all the taco places are there already. That's every other Taco Fest. They just bring all the places in one. I'm bringing taco places that I've built relationships with in the past years that I know will travel with me and compete. Best taco place in Chicago, come and beat them here in LA. If you want to be it, come and take on the 5 different taco spots across the United States and say you're the ultimate one. And Taco King's bringing that because it's my taco kingdom. That's what I'm saying, It's what I'm trying to push.
It's always smart to not limit yourself geographically. And it's the same thing Panera did, right? It was St. Louis Bread Co. for the longest fucking time. And then when they were ready to expand, now it's Panera Bread.
I will tell you this. I am, out of all of my moves I've done, not adding STL to Taco King has been... I love St. Louis. It's a love-hate relationship here. But there's so many influencers here that are big. They're such fucking gatekeepers, man.
Yeah.
And then they don't like collaborating. And if they do, you got to make sure you tag me and do this and that. I go to, for instance, I won't even say who they are, but they probably have 150,000, 200,000, and a lot of people use them here. You know, it's their bucket thing. That's all I'm gonna say. And you go to California, I have buddies that have 100,000. It's like the person that doesn't even do Instagram has that many views. It's just something about St. Louis being a little big city and whatnot. But I don't know. I don't add that STL.
I don't know if it's St. Louis. I think it's individuals, regardless of where they're at. It could just be that.
I just know the cities and the people I've dealt with from New York, Chicago.
A little bit more inviting.
Oh my gosh, this one guy. He.
Maybe it's because you're in their backyard.
Maybe
you're there.
Maybe
you're there 365.
Yeah.
You go up to New York twice a year. That's 2 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If some guy's coming over once a year, I'm gonna be very hospitable.
Yeah.
If someone's coming over my house every fucking day, suddenly I stop offering dinner. You see what I'm saying? It's like go home.
Yeah. I just know I've worked with. Now I'm not saying all influencers are here in St. Louis aren't bad.
That's exactly how I took it.
You're right. I just know. There's a lot of the big ones here, a lot of the foodie ones, and I've worked with or have done something with. I'm like, never again. And all of them try to convince me to add STL, the Taco King, be the Taco King because STL. They want to you. Yeah, maybe. And then even with STL Taco Fest, when I told someone I'm changing, they're like, bro, that's a horrible idea. You need to be the St. Louis. I'm like, I don't need to be that. I mean, a foodie can go do a taco place and get hundreds of thousands of views, and I didn't do that. It wasn't me. So I want the brand to be what I've been working on. I don't look at it as sacrifice. I look at it as obedience. I got to do these things to get it done. And in this obedience of executing, like you're talking about creating that discipline, those things will end up happening. I don't want to be on social media all the time. I got kids. I got a farm. I'm good with that. I don't need that. But I do this because I'm trying to build a brand that maybe one day I have a firm or somebody else run the social media part. So
trying to build a business.
Yeah, literally. I saw an opportunity, and it started with I wanted to help out these taco places during COVID, and then it went from that to just doing taco content. And then I saw a Taco Fest come into St. Louis, and they were at the Chaffetz Arena, and there's so many horrible. It was a money grab, business wise. Okay, cool, you get it, your money grab. But it inspired me to do it, and then I started doing Taco Fest. Every time another Taco Fest would come into town, instead of doing it once a year, I did it twice. To help me advance in, like, you know, I feel like if I did 2 a year, that's saying I did 2 years in 1 year or something, because a lot of festivals just do one. And I started doing it when that other Taco Fest came into town. We did it the same week, and I'm gonna scare you out of town because I want money. We need money to pay bills and stuff, but I have that heart where I'm not doing it for the money. I'm gonna do it to. Like, you ever seen The Social Network with, all right, in there, he said, I created some naps, or he created something and he released it instead of having Apple buy it or something like that. I look at that.
Source.
I love that. I love changing the game. Like, that's one of the reasons I do it cheap too. So that way it messes with the other people that have been doing it for a while.
Well, two things can be true at the same time. You could also want to be an industry disruptor.
Yeah.
While obviously saying that I cannot operate this at a loss.
Yeah.
The problem with profitability is like it's created this negative connotation, which I don't understand, because it's like, how is something sustainable if it's not bringing in money?
Yeah.
And not net neutral. Because net neutral means if there's any variable that happens, let's say it rains on a fucking taco fest, and you were expecting zero profitability, well, now your margins are in negative. Now you're out of business.
Yeah.
You need that buffer. Profitability could be many things. Like, it could be, a legacy builder. It could be whatever. It could also be sustainability.
Yes.
Hey, we got $100,000 in the bank, so that if we have a bad fucking show, we don't go under.
It doesn't go, yeah. And then for me, on that last Taco Fest with the rain, was if the vendors are happy and they at least made money or went even, then we won. Yeah. Because they're going to want to come back. I mean, we had 12 vendors that were new, first time ever with us, Taco Fest. On that one. But they were okay, and like,
it always goes back to the variable being weather.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If the variable was like the venue sucked or people didn't show up, it was a sunny day and no one showed up, that's on you.
That's on me.
No one reasonably. When I'm signing up for an event, let's say, and I'm buying a baseball ticket, I'm aware that it's outdoor. I'm aware that it could be rained out. I know what I'm signing up for. However, it goes back to the thing that Matt Frazier said about you. One of your endearing qualities is the fact that you do care.
Yeah.
Because some people wouldn't.
Yeah.
Some people would say, hey, you knew what you were signing up for.
Yeah.
You knew that this could be a possibility. Yep. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But that's not you.
So hard. It really is. Like, I didn't do VIP my last one because we were focused on VIP with Ballpark and selling tickets that we had our lowest attendance ever. I think it was like 4,000 people. Normally we do 12,000.
Boy, don't tell Brad Carey that. If that was or Jesse Finney, if that was an MMA show, they'd cum their pants.
Yeah. Oh, with that many people.
Oh, yeah, 4,000 at an MMA show. They'd literally you need to buy them a new pair of pants.
They bought tickets to get in, and
then bought tacos and shit.
Yep, and then we had a lot of people buy VIP. It was the most we've ever had VIP. I mean, probably the name with Ballpark helped, but after that, and knowing that we had 50 vendors there, we had my most taco spots ever. I think I had like 23 taco spots then. And a lot of them, like I lost vendors that been with me from day.
Because of Ballpark?
Oh, yeah. And then it was supposed to be 2 days, and don't even want to get into that.
I know.
And so I knew I was going to lose.
Was that not relationships that you could mend, or is that?
Oh, you can always mend relationships. You just got to be, at least in my opinion, it's whether a sales mentor of mine always says the best salesman is the person that closed the deal by getting what that person wanted versus what you're trying to get them or what. And so I've always put that in my relationships where what do they want? If I can get them what they want, then they know I'm for them and want them to succeed, and they're going to help me succeed. And so I've always kind of looked at that. And so I'm sure I can go back and have to sorry and do all suck ass, all that, and to get what they want. I'm sure that's what they want. I mean, it went south on it. And I personally I don't ever want to go back there and do anything again.
Yeah. Never say never.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, as of today,
tomorrow's right now, day. Cardinals not winning World Series for a long time.
They're hot.
I'll tell you after we get off camera.
You now are one of the few people that we've had on multiple times, and it's interesting how the very first time we had you on, that was the very first time we met each other, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great episode. Don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
But it's funny how the second time around, having known each other a little bit more, a lot of the butterflies are gone. A lot of these things are gone. It's interesting to me how when I develop a bond with an individual, it always coincides with a better conversation and better podcast episode. So to you, I want to say, open door policy, brother. Anytime you want to come on, anytime you want to talk about Taco Fest, anytime you want to talk about content or just fucking come on and bullshit and talk about Big Mike.
Anytime we can have an easy talk.
No, it's fun, dude. 2 hours.
Yeah,
like it was nothing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you said that. I was like, whoa. Right? Let me check my phone.
So before we call it quits,
I appreciate it coming back. When you said I can have that second one, I was like,
you'll have a third. You'll have a third.
I did that boxing thing. Only boxers do that. I don't see MMA fighters do that.
Let me ask you this before we call it close. Do you think it's rude for me to tell people like, hey, let some time pass first? Because we've had some guests that like they felt like they haven't had they weren't able to talk about everything they wanted to talk about, and they're like, I would like to come back on. Yeah. And I would also like to
call your mom or dad then.
But that's the thing, is like I don't want to be like episode 92 Taco Cake, episode 93 Taco Cake.
Yeah.
It's like some time needs to pass.
Definitely. I mean, you even look at Joe Rogan, he'll have multiple guests that's been on there before, but it's
some time.
Yeah, there's some time apart. Yeah, if you really
have fresh shit to talk about.
Yeah. Yes. Because it's since the last time, it was last year when I was on to this. Yeah, there's a lot more.
I also know you better now. So it's a completely different conversation.
And we've been at a few events together. Yeah. And we've had a few drinks together.
NFA.
So, heck yeah.
Taco Fest.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else.
No, it's usually NFA. No, there was something with Kind Goods, I think.
Yeah, something with Kind Goods. Do you ever go to any of the jiu-jitsu events?
I think I went to one.
With Adam Sella?
No.
Adam Meredith?
Meredith, yeah.
Meredith? Okay.
Meredith. Yeah, Adam Meredith's one of the homies, man.
Is he?
In Post Will, yeah, he's He's a really cool guy. I've known him. Actually, he originally was supposed to help me on my first Taco Fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but his imposed will started taking off, so he couldn't. He was like him and this other influencer. They're supposed to be like partners in it, but Adam's a man. Adam, I'll tell you what, it was real about it, and he's like, man, I'm sorry, all this stuff took. His imposed will took
Sorry
off.
for my success.
Yeah, right. And then even like the day of, I remember him saying and I didn't think so. I didn't think it was going to be Taco Fest was going to be that big, and my first one, 16,000 people made me jump in. So I told him, I'm like, bro, I thought it wasn't going to be big either. I thought it was going to be 15 vendors and a few hundred people, and maybe we'll do this once a year. And the universe had something different, man. God had something different for me. So,
God bless.
But yeah, Adam's.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, most definitely, right?
A dream, a wish, a reality.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Before we call it quits, is there anything else you want to say or anything else you want to discuss before we put a pin on it?
Man, no, I don't. I want to end on a good. I always say taco vibes always, man. So just enjoy anybody watching, enjoy the process. Don't look at your views, don't look at your followers, just do it and keep doing it. If it doesn't work, don't be afraid to try something different with your niche, and just keep moving forward, man. Taco vibes always. That's it.
Wow, Taco King.
Yeah. Thank you, man, for having me. Yeah, for real.